squish it all down there nice and tight. And then you'll want to get your cone ready because we're going to start doing that next. Okay, so now that we have our Folga disc, cone, I'm sorry. It's going to look something like this. So we have our this is for the calibration fiber slit. So anytime a calibration fiber slit is referenced, that's what we're talking about. All right, and you can see it kind of looks like the disc, and we got a slit right here. This is actually going to be where the gap strips go, but this one in particular does not have a gap strip, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our fiber optic cable here, and we're going to shove it through the hole. I found that it works best if you fold it. Kind of helps the calibration fiber go on through there, and feed it all the way around. Get this over into here. Alright, I'll use that to hold that back up again. Alright, so now we have this cone on here. We want to pull it down to about 4 inches. Alright, so I pull it down to about 4 inches above the PMT surface. And then what we're going to start doing is we're going to start wrapping it all the way around. Now, it's going to loop twice around. Okay, so if you want to think of these points as being A and B, we're going to wrap them all the way around to these points here. Oop, this keeps folding down. This point right here would be C, and this point right here would be D. They'll probably be labeled by the time you get them. And so this one is going to wrap all the way around underneath this one to make this a cone. This one's going to wrap all the way around on top of this one. Alright, and so by the time you get done here, you should get something that looks like a cone. That looks kind of like a cone to me. Alright, so we're going to take tacking tape. Now this is the hard part. This takes a long time to develop that. Alright, maybe you want to get somebody to help you with that part right there. Alright, get your tacking tape there. Alright, and then pull the cone down nice and snug. Alright, so now it's resting on my PMT right there. Alright, and then what we're going to start doing is we're going to tape down kind of in the same systematic manner. One on this side, one on the other side. Tape this one down. And then you'll notice you're creating that 8 flap kind of ring that we had done with the disc. And you're going to tape all those flaps down just like we had done before. You guys can probably do that, so I'm going to leave you to do that. Alright, I forgot to mention we're going to tape down this seam here. So after you get that tack there, it allows you to step away and make a cut here. So I'm going to, kind of measure that there. It looks like that'll fit right there. And you don't need this whole fat thing, so go ahead and cut it in half. I'm a big fan of these halves. You always don't have to. You can leave them full widths if you'd like. And so then just tape that seam down right like so. Ooh, and try and make it as smooth as possible. Create the least amount of light leaks. And tape it down there. If you get that overhang there, just fold it under. That's no problem at all. Also, you'll probably want to start cutting fatter pieces, maybe about an inch wide, just right off of the, if you were to come back to your tape here, about an inch down, just cut that off there. And then just cut them in half again to use for taping this cone down. Sometimes these cones don't always line up, so you have to cover both sides of the phone because it's double layered here. So I would use fatter pieces like this to do those 8 around the sides. Right. So the idea with keeping these things really nice and wide is if I can wrap this one right along there, I can make these flaps just super small. Alright, see, so when you look at this flap here, there's not, when I fold that over, there's not a lot of space for light to get in. So then I can come back and with another fat piece, just kind of go right over top of that and make a nice light, tight seal there. See, so that's kind of what we're going for. Alright, so once you're done taping all those flaps down, I take the other half strip that goes all the way around that I was using on that disc, and I wrap that along the bottom. Alright, and then just for safety, I wrap a full width piece all the way around. Just cleans everything up and kind of ensures that we won't get any light leaks in that area. Alright, but now we're going to work on this junction up here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to push this down just a little bit here. Alright, and when we start wrapping this, that'll give us room for flexibility later with this Folga. So we don't want to restrict any movement in that direction. Alright, so go ahead and get your tacker tape, kind of And what I like to do is slide it right in here, and that'll hold it all down. So do that there. I'll kind of hold it in place down there, just long enough for me to get some more of this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and cut some strips. Now it's more beneficial to get strips now, so we're gonna do what we've done before, just with strips. All right, and so now that I've got a few strips to kind of show you where we're headed with this, I'll start showing. All right, so now that we have a strip, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and go through here, go in between the calibration fiber and that, and wrap on down like this. It's beneficial to make that cross motion, so it starts back there and you fold one end down and then you cross over top of it like that with the other part of the tape. All right, I'm gonna cut a nice big fat piece here. I want to cover up that gap strip gap hole thingy there, that cone. So we're gonna just kind of cover up where that gap strip hole is, and do this like so. And you want to try and get this all down along evenly, nice like that, so there's no holes around there. If you do get, for instance, like if I were to think that might be a light leak there, no problem. When in doubt, just add more tape. So if I thought that were a light leak, just put some more tape, make it nice and smooth around there. It's not a problem at all. So continue like so with these strips. Keep wrapping it around the stem here, all right, and minimizing all the light leaks you think can be possible. It's also nice to kind of wrap around like fully sideways there. All right, we'll kind of go in between there. All right, so keep wrapping on that stem, and I'll show you how to deal with the calibration fiber here in just a second. All right, and now that we're done, we've worked with the stem here. You can see we've got these nice creases forming here. Now a lot of people, as I was telling Scott, think that these are bad things because when you take a piece of tape, just kind of give an illustratory kind of a thing here. If you were to pull a piece of tape right across this, you would get a light leak potentially right here, as you can see that forming right there. Well, that's not too hard to deal with if you can just take another little piece of tape. I'm sorry, I ran out of all my tacking tape, so I gotta make a few more real quick. And you can take this other piece of tacking tape here and then just cover right over top that crease to cover up that light leak that had just formed there. So don't think of those creases as a bad thing. Capitalize on them, and you can pinch them and get really nice seals right through there. All right, but now what I want to illustrate here is how to go about light tightening this area right here, because light can just go right down that crack right there. All right, and this is also important to realize because if you have a gap strip on here as well, this is kind of the method you're going to want to go with this. And I would encourage, if you have a gap strip to work with, that you go ahead and light tighten this seam in here first before wrapping the stem. It'll probably be a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out some strips again. Let me get a fatter strip here. Actually, that'll be just fine. Okay, and what I'm going to do, this is my first step that I've kind of come up with, is I will create like a nose band-aid, if you're familiar with those. Kind of a little half crescent out of there, a little half crescent out of here. And what this does is it removes all the excess tape that might try and squeeze into that crease while giving you still maximum sticking power on the outside to really pull that tight. So once you peel it, you get yourself a nice little nose thing, and you'll want to kind of think of creasing it here if you want to get it into there. All right, and so we kind of slide it down. Whoop, I gotta let go of it. And slide it down in there. All right, and then you can see it'll stick out just like that, and then you can put those flaps down. All right, and then give you a lot of room to stick there. So you can see as I pull this out, which I'm not going to do too much because I don't want to break it. That V that we had just crammed in there it will push out anytime that, for instance, a gap strip or whatever gets pulled away from the stem. That seam will bend with it, and so it'll maintain its light tightening qualities while still being intact. I don't know how else to say that. So then the rest of this just kind of goes with using little pieces of tape and gapping over it here. Maybe take a nice little tacker tape size and kind of go over the top of it. So kind of go right over the top of that there. Kind of, once again, just light tight that from the back that way. And you're gonna kind of want to rinse and repeat, and so kind of do more things of the same. Kind of cram some down in here, just like that. Pull it there, tape it there. That's not too hard. So the rest of this is just kind of fiddling around with getting all that tape in there so it stays light tight. All right, and we're done here. This is as good as it's gonna get. It is, as I can tell, ready for testing. So you want to test this and make sure that it's light tight.